I'm going to ask Andrew to move up to the podium, give us a short and more detailed view of Arts Council's digital position and its input into the fund. Andrew.
Hello again. So actually my real shock this morning is this pink colour and my pink book and why I wasn't consulted. But anyway, so I'm going to try and keep them quite far apart like this. But actually they need to be very close together. They do need to be close together for us at the Arts Council because everything we do over the next 10 years is going to be guided by our strategic framework. I think many of you know this. We consulted about a year and a half ago for 3 months with thousands of people across the arts and beyond about what really matters, what are the really important things. And if we want to imagine a better arts and cultural sector doing more, achieving more in 10 years' time, what would be the burning flags, what would be the really key things? So we ended up with 5 key goals. And in a way, digital and the idea of digital is a sort of operating context, a bit like climate change or international, that runs through, is sort of threaded through everything we do and everything we think about around those 5 goals. And so it's important that we think quite hard from our point of view. We want to stay very close to this, having developed this strategy. And 2 of the goals, the one about building and inspiring new audiences and about sustaining, creating an innovative, resilient and sustainable arts and cultural sector are the sort of 2 goals that we're particularly interested in. And this particular fund is very much in that space around audiences and around business models. So just to say that's kind of behind everything. So thinking digitally, and I know this is not an original use of these 2 words, but they actually feels right, this idea of thinking digitally. And I've felt quite excited actually over the last sort of year or 2 where I've dived into this. I was running Modern Art Oxford before I came to the Arts Council. I think I can safely say our website was bland beyond bland when I was there. I kind of ignored it. I tried to pretend it wasn't there. I was absolutely not in this sort of digital space. And being given the task of being the executive board sort of lead for digital, in fact, digital broadcasting, I've tried to sort of dive into the deep end of the swimming pool. And I feel as though, as I'm sure many of us in this room do, but maybe not all, some sense of being digitally literate, which I don't think is about understanding how to use an iPad or any of that. I think it's something about there are no walls, it's 24 hours a day, it's global, and it's something about a different kind of possibility. And how do we think about that specifically in relation to the arts? And I always think of Rachel down here because she's very good at saying, and I completely agree, that you need to start with what is it you really want to do? What is it you want to do anyway in arts and culture? And how might digital technology accelerate that, achieve that more quickly? So yes, we do, as it says here, we do want a transformative step change. We do want arts organisations to recognise the extraordinary possibilities that are out there. And this sort of meeting up, getting people together is absolutely crucial to that. And I think in the end it's about new relationships and reaching more people. And we want to encourage organisations to think around this notion of digital content. I was actually looking at these slides this morning and thinking of rather a funny thing on Twitter the other day, some of you may have seen. Charlotte, somebody, she did a fantastic video piece where she's talking about her artistic practice in kind of gobbledygook. And then there's a wonderful sort of text, what she's really saying underneath. And I feel a bit like I'm trying to do the opposite here. I'm going to try and sort of turn this into what are we really talking about here, if I possibly can. So I think we're talking about new relationships, and we're talking about reaching more people. And we're talking about how do we create an opportunity for the arts sector to recognise that what they've got on stage this evening could reach far more people through those 4 screens, through those platforms, but they can't necessarily just stick a video camera in front of it and hand it to a television company. That isn't kind of how it works. And so we need to think how we can make that possible and how both that digital content can be potentially new and different in its own right, or it can be some kind of extraordinary hybrid like NT Live, or it can be in some other kind of space. We want to encourage those new relationships. We want to really think how, when we say reach new people, our research suggests actually that that's not an easy thing to do, that of course if people don't know the Sadler's Wells website address, they're not going to benefit from Sadler's Wells being even better at digital technology or that depth. So we need to be a bit cleverer than that. And I think gaming, because I have 2 kids who are 14 and 13 and obsessed with computer games. I feel very negative about the word gaming on one level, but increasingly positive sort of over here. So I'm trying to kind of, a bit like the two pinks, I'm trying to kind of bring the two together. And the kind of things that have been happening in Bristol with Claire Reddington and other places around, again, there are no walls, it's 24 hours a day, it's kind of with you, and it's real, and it's kind of not real because it's digital, are ways in which I think digital technology could genuinely reach a wider range of people, and certainly the kind of new generation, younger people, who just don't kind of get this obsession with even the word digital because it's just so much kind of part of their bloodstream. So how are we going to put some of this into action? We're building on strong foundations. It's not the first time the Arts Council stood up and said it's interested in digital technology. We've been running a digital opportunities program. Some of you may have been part of that, and we'll be publishing some really great case studies of what we've been doing over the last few years on our website, and they'll hopefully belong to everybody and be shared very widely, and really try and get a sense of what we've learned already and where we're starting from. Secondly, we've launched our program with the BBC Academy, Building Digital Capacity for the Arts, and I think we've had 2 sessions of that so far. Some of you may have any of you been at those sessions? So there's a kind of crossover with what we're doing here. And then we're investing in pilot projects like this Digital R&D Fund, and I think you can expect to see a kind of expanded version of this fund in our larger innovation and development program, which we're going to be launching later in the year, which I'll mention in a minute. So we're trying to look across all of our investment strands at the Arts Council. So we put a great deal of money into organisations, and from April the 1st next year, we will be supporting 695 organisations in what we call the National Portfolio. And we expect those National Portfolio organisations, in a way, there are kind of beacons of excellence, and they are strategically important to us, and we see them having a leadership role, and we want to nudge them, support them, enable them to use digital technology in a way that will, as I said earlier, really accelerate what they want to do anyway, or kind of enhance what they want to do anyway. We also have grants for the arts, and we invested more than 4 million last year in a sort of broad range of digital projects supporting artists who work with digital technology. And we also have strategic funding. And strategic funding, which is what we're working on at the moment, is the money from the lottery which will support this particular strand around digital technology. So as I just said, crucial partners, the National Portfolio, and we will be expecting them to really think about how digital technology can help them deliver their missions better, but we need to support them in that. And again, another strand of our program will be in this capacity building area. And I was thinking about this rather dreadful term, capacity building. I mean, it's basically about giving people the confidence to do stuff and to feel as though they can do stuff and that they can talk to people and they can get excited, as many of, I think probably everyone in this room is, about what the potential is and what the possibilities are. So our Digital Innovation and Development Programme, we'll be launching it later in the year. It's about what we would see as the gaps. It's about recognising what all of you are doing, and many people, thousands of people beyond this room. It's not about the Arts Council thinking it sort of arrives and suddenly we can sort this all out. It's very much working in partnership, trying to understand what's already happening, trying to be a catalyst, an enabler, trying to support the smart people, the pioneers, and most important, also as importantly, trying to support those who are not the pioneers and trying to support those who, if you like, are a bit digitally illiterate, and trying to make sure that those who are, from our perspective, those who are making the most exciting art, most exciting cultural experiences, can be brought into a space where that they can take advantage of digital technology and be really thrilled and sort of know who to talk to and know the kinds of, have the kind of confidence to have those kind of relationships. And we want to do this with many partners, and it's absolutely fantastic to have partners in NESTA and AHRC, and I think when you see our program later in the year, hopefully there'll be more partners, and I think that's great, because I think it's stepping out of the kind of comfort zone of the arts. We were thinking the other day, if you ask an arts organisation, who do you think of as your natural cultural partners? I think they'll probably tend to say other publicly funded partners. They won't say this brilliant guy running the advertising agency around the corner or this fantastic person from a private technology company. And I think we need to get out of that space. We need to think more broadly around who our creative and cultural partners might be in the arts and not just think they're automatically in the kind of public sector. And this is absolutely a space where that's critical, and that's what today is partly about. And finally, we will lead on advocacy and policy development, again with many of you. We don't have all the answers and we don't have all the opinions, but we do have a duty as a national body, as a leadership agency supporting the arts, to think about and support all of you around intellectual property, around the way the government is thinking about media and communication. And we've done that in the past, and I hope we've had a positive influence, often again with partners, and thinking around open data and all the possibilities there as well. So I hope the Arts Council will be finished. I hope the Arts Council, taken together, will be a really useful partner to all of you and to many other people around this extraordinary moment for arts and culture. And it's an extraordinary moment for arts and culture. I'm not uninterested in it being an extraordinary moment for technology, but the space we're in is how can we extend and deepen the impact, the extraordinary experiences people have in arts and culture and enable that to reach a much wider number of people? And how can we enable people to think about how they run their organizations where they can really, I'm going to use horrible words, exploit their cultural assets. That's ghastly, isn't it? But try and think, what is it about your organization which is special and unique and rich, and through digital technology could be shared more widely? We're all, like many of you here, we're all rather excited about that Faber T.S. Eliot Wasteland app on the iPad. It does sound a bit like a kind of a breakthrough, and you can kind of imagine the equivalent of that across so many arts organizations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew. John, if you'd like to, are you going to go to the lectern? I'll ask Andrew a question while you're on the way, if that's okay. Andrew, so digital runs through the strategy, and obviously large numbers of arts organisations are already engaging with digital. So how significant a thing is the innovation programme going to be? I mean, well-resourced? What sort of... This is a brutal way of asking you if there's plenty of money in it or not, really, I suppose.
20 million.
20 million quid. Okay, so it's 20 million over what period-ish? A couple of years?
Over the next 3 years.
Okay, so that's pretty significant commitment, very significant commitment indeed.
That's specifically from the strategic side of what we do. We've obviously invested a huge sum of money in our organisations who are in this space, and also we still and will continue to support many innovative projects involving digital technology through grants for the arts. So, no, we think it's extremely important.